Hello, my savvy service providers. Happy Wednesday. I am really excited for this conversation today. Today we are talking about, are you missing these key traits to scale from 2K months to 35K months? And basically, I'm wanted to do the title not to call anyone out, but just to show you that these are literally traits you can cultivate. No one is born with this stuff. These are the things I'm working with on all of my clients to help them double their rates and sell out their offers for 5-figure months consistently. So that's the conversation we're having today. I cannot wait to jump in with you. I know this is going to be a really juicy one. If you are new, welcome. My name is Jordan Ilderton. I am also holding a masterclass next week, High Ticket Sales Secrets. So this is so good. My landing page has an 80% conversion rate. I am blown away. I just know this is the stuff that's going to change your business. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your family economy. If you haven't signed up, what are you doing with your life? I'm going to drop the link below. These are 5 high ticket sales secrets that I had to learn on my own after spending $9,000 in a group program. I spent $4,000 in a mastermind. That's $13K that I spent, and no one ever told me this stuff. This is the stuff I had to figure out, when I pivoted from $35 an hour bookkeeping services to a high ticket 1-to-1 6-month coaching offer. I had to figure all this out, and I'm handing it over to you for free. I'm at a point in my business where I don't need to put this behind a paywall. I don't need to hide anything. I'm full with clients. I want you to have these things too, because I know what a difference has made for me in my business. And I wish I could have just had someone tell me these things and not have to spend years and thousands of dollars to figure it out myself. So be sure you get signed up for that masterclass. Again, I'll drop the link below. It's happening here in the group next Wednesday at noon. So you will get access to it, but it will be taken down. So you have to sign up so that you can get the playbook, so you can get access to the live stream, because it will be limited access, and then we'll take it down. If you sign up, you're also getting entered to win a free 1-to-1 45-minute coaching session with me. So that is just a fun extra bonus I want to give for someone who signs up and participates. So that's really fun, and I'm so looking forward to it. It's been since April since I've done a masterclass, so this one was very, very well planned, very thought out. I've put a lot of, just effort into this and really what I'm teaching you, and it's going to change the trajectory of your business. I just know it. So I cannot wait for you to get signed up and have that, and see you next week for that. So let's go ahead and talk today about the exact qualities my clients master so that they can double their rates and create 5-figure months. So if you join live, please say hi, ask your questions. If you're catching the replay, ask your questions. I'll always answer them later. We also want to do a special giveaway this Friday. If you comment here or just leave a question, we'll be sure to announce a winner on Friday, and I'll be giving away my how I create 10K months, or how I pay myself 10K months training. So that's just a really good one, because I don't work full time. I work 9 to 2, and I pay myself consistent 10K plus months for 41 months now. So that is something I know is so valuable. So leave your questions, leave your comments, and we'll pick a winner so someone can get that. Let me pull myself up in the group. Let me make sure I'm here, because that's always something that I need to check on. So while I'm pulling this up, I'll just talk a little bit. I've been in business for 9 years. I have supported clients behind the scenes for 9 years. I pivoted to high ticket 3 years ago. And I just have seen so many business owners who have so much experience, so many degrees, and they think people will just flock to them and they'll immediately get 5-figure months. And that's just not the case. There isn't this entrepreneurial gene that some people are just born with and other people aren't. That's not it at all. You can literally learn these things. So we're going to cover 7 traits. Hopefully we can get to all 7 today, that I really work with my clients, whether they know it or not. I'm really helping them have these traits, because these are the traits that will get you to multi-7 figures and beyond. This are the traits that for the training next week, if you have these traits, that training is just going to help you pop so much bigger. So I wanted to have this conversation kind of in tandem and leading up to this masterclass, because they kind of all go hand in hand. So again, we're talking about traits that are learnable. Like the strategy part in business is easy. And I was just on a client call with someone, one of my clients, and she was talking about other business owners and other people in her industry she knew who had gone out of business and who are very well educated. They have certifications. And I was just kind of sitting there like, yeah, like certifications aren't what keep you safe. Like having these types of traits and being a CEO that can navigate things and, think about things in the way we're going to talk about today, like that is what keeps you safe. That is what future proofs your business. It's these traits and qualities within yourself. It doesn't have anything to do with like the outside world and what the economy is doing and anything about that. Like that all changes all the time. And anyone who's going to be in business for the long run knows that and is really cultivating these traits. So again, like these are just traits. Like I have seen people come and go within my own industry. I've seen people come and go who have been previous clients, like people who I used to work with. They are now closed down. I've seen multiple people go out of business in 2023. Like these are things that like will not make or break your business, but they are the difference between someone who makes it and someone who doesn't. And so this is what I want to outline for you today and really hand to you because, like I would talk about with my masterclass, like it's not necessarily your fault if you don't know how to convert a lead into a paying client, but it is your responsibility to get the tools and get the support you need so that you can do that. And so that's how I'm thinking about this conversation today is like, most of us weren't born with these traits. Like maybe our parents tried to cultivate some of it. Maybe, along the way we kind of got some of it, but it's really up to us, especially as a business owner. We're dealing with things that like we just don't ever have to deal with in our regular life. And so it's up to us to really cultivate and grow and nurture these traits. Let me kind of pull this a little closer. I feel like you're so far away. So I think that's just okay. And, these traits aren't a nice to have, they are a need to have. Like I've just seen these over and over, again, after supporting countless clients behind the scenes for 9 years, after supporting clients to double their rates and fill their rosters, after supporting clients to 6x, 7x, 10x their revenue and just really change their family economies. Like these traits are just so necessary. And so figuring out how to cultivate them within yourself, getting support, hiring a coach like me, whatever you need to do, like make sure you're really focused on these and not just focused on, let me get the next email funnel, let me get the next strategy hack, let me, figure out how to blow up my Pinterest account. Like you're like chasing the wrong things if that's all you're focused on. Like we really have to focus on this stuff too. Like I am very left-brained, very analytical, very bullet point focused, and I know that it's really the internal stuff that's going to make or break a business. Like again, not to be like totally doom or gloom with like make or break, but like it is just so hard to run a business and have it sustain you and be able to like double rates and create 41 consecutive 5-figure months if you don't have these traits in place. So, I always like to think about like, what are my clients who make it? What are they doing? I really want to study them. I really want to use them as an example and case study and bring them to you today so that you can learn for them. It's that whole success leaves clues. So like, these are the clues that they're leaving and what I've really studied about them and what, the people who make it, they just have these traits. Or we're like working on them together so that they have these traits because people just aren't born with all of this stuff. So we're going to talk through that. And if you follow me on Instagram, I was kind of calling this my summer of stoicism. Like I've been really into reading about Stoics. And so these are kind of pulled from that. It just was kind of how my brain could organize this because I realized after reading a lot of Stoicism that all of my mentors, everyone I look up to is kind of talking about Stoicism. Like even if they don't call it Stoicism, this is the stuff from 2,000 years ago. This was like, I think it was Rome. Ooh, is it Rome or Greece? Where the Stoic philosophers came from. But these were people who were like living in the years BC and even like 62 AD. So these are very much like, I didn't just pull these out of my rear. Like these are legit things that have been around for 2,000 years. And, again, if I think about anyone I look up to who is talking about this stuff, it all kind of comes back to these stoic traits. And if you want to read more about stoicism, I highly recommend it. There's a great book that I love, and it's called How Not to Worry. It's a bright yellow cover. It's a female author. I can drop a link later if you want me to, but it's basically How Not to Worry, How to Stay Stoic in Chaotic Times, because that title just spoke to me with the election coming up. And just so these like traits are pulled from stoicism, and we're looking through them from that lens. And then I'm also giving you client case studies and examples, but for my brain it was nice to just kind of put it in like the stoicism lens. So the first trait is focusing on what you can control. And I know this sounds so simple, and I pulled a quote from each one. And so this is a Stoic quote that says, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." So in business, we cannot control market conditions. We cannot control our competitors. We cannot control what customers will do. We cannot control algorithm changes. Like, there's so much you can't control, but you can control your mindset. You can control your decisions and your efforts and like the work you put in. And so just seeing like in any situation, it's looking and asking like, what do I have control over here? Like if a client is defaulting on a payment, like what do I have control over? How do I show up? If something is changing within the industry and you know, the video is prioritized and you're like, I don't want to show up on video, like, you know, just seeing what you are in control of and what your choice is. And then also coming back to that choice, because it feels so out of control if we don't feel like we are at choice. And so seeing that, like you making a choice and then backing yourself on that just makes it feel so much better. Like I just choose to work between the hours of 9 to 2, and I support clients kind of outside of those hours. But, you know, if I was like, well, I wish, you know, I'm at 14K to 23K a month. If I wanted 40K a month, it's like, well, I would need to increase my hours, and that's just a choice. That's something I'm not willing to do, and that's my choice. And so seeing that like really helps you see like what you can control and what you can't control, and it really helps you take your power back. So I have a client example is around, let's see. Okay. She is local. She offers a product, and there's just been an extreme amount of competition, like blow up since COVID. And so, you know, instead of slashing prices and slashing profit margins, we're really focused on service and quality and being with the customer for like the lifespan of the product, and really setting themselves up as being like just so much more of like a thought leader, and like not just there to be the Walmart, you know. So this is something that like they couldn't control the amount of competition in the area, but we can control how they're showing up, what their visibility plan is, like what their messaging is, who they're for. Again, they could have like played the like, we're going to slash our prices and be the cheapest person around game, but like that would have put them out of business. And in the end, like they're here for the long run, and so many other competitors are probably not going to make it because they are playing that game. So we are looking at what can we focus on, and that is who they are, who they, you know, support, and really look at like improving the client journey, the client buying process, the client support on the other side. Like those are things that we can control, and that's what we're focused on, and that's going to have them sustain and grow their business so much longer when these other competitors who are just slashing prices and profit margins just won't be able to. So this just leads to so much stability in your business when you know that like things kind of just always change, but like you focus on what you can control. This just changes the game. Instead of being reactive, like about more competition, or reactive about things that could hurt their profit margins and their long-term, you know, longevity of being in business, like we're really seeing like how this serves them long-term. And it just plays out so much better. Let's see. Oh yeah. And we're already just seeing it play out for the business owner directly. Like obviously we don't have like a crystal ball to be like, oh, all these competitors are going to go out of business in like 3 years. But we can already see with what we're doing today, like they feel so much more peaceful in their business. Like they don't feel as stressed out. They don't feel like they're having to like almost like spray and pray, because that's the game you're playing. If you slash your prices and profit margins, you've just got to like cast a much wider net and reach so many more people and just like spray and pray your stuff all over the place. Whereas like if you realize who you're for and you're like, okay, we can't control the amount of competition, but I can control the service and the value and the support that someone gets, and that just sets my business up for long-term success. Like, use this in your business. So that's the first one. And that was just one client example, but all of these, y'all, I could have done like 10 client examples because these apply to everyone. So that's the first one. Focus on what you can control. And even just asking yourself if there's a situation that feels really challenging or like stressful, just like coming back to like, what can I control? What can I do here? And focus on that. So the second one is embrace adversity and challenges. And the quote for this one is, what stands in the way becomes the way. And I love this thought of like, what stands in the way becomes the way. It's kind of like, I don't know if y'all listen to Dr. Becky, she does like parenting stuff, but it's like with your child, it's like the challenge is the answer. Like if they're wanting to cuss a lot, it's like, we'll just let them go in the basement and cuss a lot, and like they get it out of their system. So like, I feel like this one has so many, like all of these can apply to anything in life, but especially for business is like embracing the challenge, because like there will always be challenges. So if you don't have challenges in your business, you're not growing. And if you have the same challenges in business, then you're stuck. So like, what do you want? You want to be stuck or you want to have challenges? For me, I would just take new challenges and not being stuck. So really just see them not as roadblocks, but growth opportunities. And if you're never facing challenges, you're probably playing too small. This is getting really woo here, but I'm just going to go there. I love the book Conversations with God, but it's basically talking about like we're here for a reason, and our soul is here to do amazing work and show up and do great things, and seeing that like literally this is like our path to doing those great things is to have these challenges and to have these adversity or things we have to move through so that we can like become who we're supposed to be. And I know that's like getting woo, and y'all know I'm very woo, but that's just how I like to think of it, is like this is literally like setting me up for stuff, especially, and I know I had this conversation in a live stream recently, so I won't go all into it, but like it's really hard to become a multi 6 or 7 figure business without these challenges. And it's kind of nice to have them before you're a multi 6 or multi 7 figure business, because you're playing so much smaller. It's kind of like the thought of, if you're going to get into credit card debt, let it be while you're in college, and you're kind of like playing smaller instead of when you're an adult with multiple children and a house and a mortgage and all this stuff. It's like, let's make these mistakes and have these growth opportunities and have these challenges earlier when you have fewer clients and a smaller team and maybe less visibility. Like, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. And it's kind of a good thing when you're kind of on the smaller end and it's not like a huge thing. Like, I'd rather a client default on a payment when it's like $500 versus $50,000. So like, let yourself see that as like, oh, I would so much rather deal with this challenge and move through it now than have to deal with it later. But a client example, and so I'm saying like embrace adversity and challenges. I'm like, literally every client I could give you like a bunch of examples. So we'll look at one here. Let's see. Okay, in one recent client, she had a launch, and it ended up being her biggest launch yet, but like a week into it, she was stuck. She was stuck with less than half the signups that she wanted. She was frustrated. The hurricane was happening. Her daughter had a fever. Her mindset was in the toilet. And we really came up with like all these launch goodies that she can have to roll out in future launches. So if we're like, when we do her launch debrief, we'll probably look through and be like, okay, on this day, you get stuck. And we notice this every time. So what's the opportunity? The opportunity is to create launch goodies, something that we roll out on these days that gets people over the fence, that gives them something that like another thing that they don't want to miss out on. And this worked so well. And this is something she can use and have in her back pocket like every other launch going forward. Like, she ended up blowing it out of the water. She got 3 or 4 more signups than was her goal. It's her biggest launch ever, like killed it. And it's like, we came up with this amazing launch goodie, like a whole list of them. She only implemented one this time, but like we've got this whole list of things that like for her next launch, she'll be able to use and roll out and be able to get people off the fence so much faster because we had this challenge and it just worked so well. So it's like challenges are really like growth opportunities. So this one, like, it was just a chance for us to like ideate together and like come up with this thing that just again worked so well, and we'll use it for every future launch going forward because we're like we wouldn't have come up with that if she just kind of like slowly filled her roster and we're like, yay, good. Like, this came from her being stuck and frustrated, her mindset in the toilet, and we created this wonderful thing. Obviously we got her mindset back on track, and that was a huge part of it. Like, she was kind of even in the place where like nothing mattered. And I was like, well, if you don't think something's going to make a difference, it's not going to make a difference. So we had to really like get her out of that and get her excited again and get her like on fire again. And that's when it took her launch from like $8,000 to like $33,000, $35,000. I don't have the total number yet, but that's just kind of like a conservative estimate because she has different tiers of offers. But literally she was stuck at 8K. And we created this beautiful thing that she can use going forward. And that was the challenge. And it like boosted her launch to $33,000 to $35,000. So that was the second one, is like using your challenges as kind of the way forward and using them to grow and to help you get to that next level. Because again, that was her biggest launch ever. So super pumped about that. So the third one is detach from the outcomes. So the Stoic quote with this is, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This is so important, y'all. Again, this is like anything in life this could be applied to. So like, it is very much important to like set goals and work towards certain outcomes. And like, I always like to look at traffic dashboards and industry standards with my clients, but it's also equally important to detach from the results. So like, yes, we want the 35K launch, and we'll be okay if we don't get it. And we realize we're still an amazing human being if we don't get it. We realize we're still worthy if we don't get it. Like, kind of the fun of business is the process of it. It's not just like, let me get to 35K launch or 50K months. It's like, let me build something I love and that I freaking love to do every day, and that I show up and it's just this fun game I get to play. Like, that is like the win to me with my clients, is really when they can detach from the outcomes and see the little wins and see how all the pieces of the machine are working together. And like, yes, the clients and the cash is amazing and insane, but it's also just the fun of like seeing what they've built and what they've done and how far they've come. So it's like, this is when people crumble because they don't get the results they want. They don't get the clients they want, or they didn't reach the annual revenue goal that they wanted. And it just literally like breaks them. Like, I've seen people have such expectations and such goals that they're gripping so tightly. And it's like, if they don't get it, then everything else is just SHIT, and they don't celebrate it. And they even like lose momentum and backtrack because they think stuff isn't working because they didn't get the result they wanted. And it's like, how can we see all of this is getting you what you wanted, and that like we can just detach from the outcome a little bit? Like, they remain focused on their craft and loving it and loving what they do. So this is a client who had a free training recently, and this is one of her first, and she didn't have anyone who bought off of it specifically. So she was kind of looking at it as a failure or a flop and like not getting what she wanted. But I'm seeing it now is like, she has this very large amount of warm leads. She has people on her email list now. She has people clicking her emails. She has people clicking the links to her emails. Like, just because they didn't buy off this one webinar, they might get on a free call. They might do her next webinar and buy off of that. Like, this is all just moving in the direction we want, even if it didn't get that like exact result of like X number of people buying off of this webinar. Like, seeing how much it did do for her business, like, that is gold. It's like detaching from this arbitrary outcome. Even my clients who like set a goal to have a certain number of people in a launch or a certain number of people sign up for something, it's like, yes, that is beautiful and amazing. Like, yes, have a goal, and like, let's not lose the forest through the trees. That the goal is like, we're still moving these people towards buying from you. Like, we're still building relationships with these people. These people will like pop up and become a client at any given point, and seeing that as the win, and not just like, oh, I do a webinar and 5 people buy from me. Like, yes, that's amazing, and we want to get your webinar to that. And also just see that like that exact outcome isn't the win. It's creating this process that works for you over and over, and that constantly nurtures and brings people in. Like, that's the win. So that is that one. So number 4 is gratitude. And I know everybody's like, oh, you're going to talk about gratitude again. Yes, I am. Like, there's so many studies out there about gratitude, like being key to getting more. It's just, it's not just a feel good practice, but it really like fosters resistance. And especially now, like, I didn't mention anything about the hurricane at the beginning, but I know there's still so much to be done and so much relief efforts, and like just being so grateful for the stuff I have to deal with right now, of like, my daughter's hearing aid isn't charging. We need to go for another lights check. My tires like need new tires. And so we're dealing with that. Like, there's all this stuff in one day that I'm just like, oh my gosh, plus work stuff. But it's just seeing like, I am so grateful that this is what I'm dealing with. And I have power, and I have food, and I have water, and I have my family, and I'm in my home. Like, right now, like, I could complain about all these other things and sit in my like, why me? Why do I have to get 2 new tires? I just got 2 new tires a couple months ago. Or, you love my whiny voice. Or, we just took my daughter's hearing aid a couple months ago. Like, now what's wrong with it now? Like, all these things. But it's just like such a privilege to complain about these things, because my life is just normal and going on as it needs to. So that's what I want to say about gratitude. Like, it's really like being so grateful for where you are now. And so not just in life, but in business, it's so hard to double your rates and make 5-figure months if you're not grateful for the rates and the clients you have now. I'm just going to say that again, because it is so freaking hard to fill your roster and double your rates if you're not grateful for the clients and the money and the rates that you have now. Like, the universe isn't just like, oh, wow, she really hates where she is right now, so let's give her 10 times more. Like, that's not how it works. Like, we literally have to create that, just like we have to be an energetic match for what we want. And I know, I love like the strategy and the woo. So like, we very much set up this strategy. I have the traffic dashboards with my clients. My one-to-one clients like know where every lead in their business is coming from. They know which platforms work. They know which links are being clicked. And like, we know that if they are just like miserable with the $2,000 they're making right now, ain't no way they're going to make $10,000, because that's just not how that works. Their brain is not like, wow, yes, let me go create more of this because I'm miserable making $2,000. Like, we have to celebrate the shit out of what we have and the results we have now if we think we're going to create more of it. So it's like, yes, it's like a hack to doubling your rates and creating 5-figure months. And it's also just like makes you feel so much better. It just makes life more enjoyable. It just makes being a human and navigating everything that we need to navigate so much more enjoyable, because we have this level of gratitude. So yeah, that's what I wrote about, Hurricane Helene. So I see this all the time with my clients, is they think when they get to a certain point, then things will feel different. It's the win-then game, which I love doing with my kids. Like, when you get your shoes on, then we'll go outside. Or when you get your backpack packed, then we'll do your elderberry. Like, that works with them. But for our brains, if we're like, oh, when I get to, and this is literally a client example, he was at 30K months. We got him to 50K months. He didn't feel any more peaceful. He didn't feel any more secure or safe. He actually had more anxiety, more pressure. He had more people relying on him, more team he's paying that relied on him for their livelihood, more clients to support, more marketing to do. Like, he thought, when I get to 50K months, I'm going to feel so peaceful and secure. And it's like, no, that's not ever how it works. We want to believe that, like, when I get to 5K months, when I get to 10K months, I'm going to have it made in the shade. When I get 20 clients, I'm going to feel so good. And it's like, that is not the case at all. So like, seeing like where you are now, like, it's just this like hedonistic treadmill that we just keep pushing the goalpost farther and farther, and we're always chasing something. So being in this grounded energy now and seeing how good 2K months are, or 5K months are, or 30K months, like, being so grounded into that gratefulness is key, because that's what's going to help you like not feel like you're always chasing something, but feel good and be like, yeah, things are just actually good. Like, I'm not chasing anything. I'm not like, I'll feel worthy when I get to this certain dollar amount, or I'll feel safe when I get here. It's like, how can I just cultivate feeling worthy? And how can I cultivate feeling safe and grateful right now? Because oddly enough, that's what's going to help me get what I want. And it's just going to feel really good to get me there. So the fifth one, I'm doing good on my time, so we'll be able to get through all of them. No questions or comments, but let me know if y'all have any later on the replay. So the fifth one is about keeping emotions in check. And I love this quote, and I think it's Seneca. I don't really know how to say any of their names, so I haven't been saying them, but Seneca is one of the main Stoics. And he had a quote that's, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And I feel like that is so true. Like, keep emotions in check, keep worry in check. Like, our emotional reactions, whether from fear or stress or excitement, like these can cloud our decisions like so much. Like, when we make a decision out of logic and reason and clarity, rather than reacting to a client not paying, or a client, cutting out on a engagement, or someone who said yes and they back out. Like, if you feel so jacked up and like basically like activated from that, then you're going to make decisions in your business probably so that that never happens again. And that's just not going to serve your business long term. So I'll use myself as an example. I had a client default on a payment for like services rendered. So she owed me a lot of money. And I didn't, how do I want to say this? It was just a great learning opportunity for me. I had to learn to stop providing services sooner when a payment wasn't made. And I needed to make sure collection happened before I moved forward. And I also didn't change my process of requiring a full payment up front. So my clients can pay every month, where I know a lot of coaches do like a pay in full. And to me, I just don't do that, even with this client defaulting. And I know a lot of people would be like, oh, well, so that never happens again. I'm going to require everyone to pay in full. But I know I would miss out on so many amazing clients if I required that. And to me, it's just like, okay, that was a learning experience. Like, I'm going to keep my emotions in check. That did not feel good. It did not feel fun to have someone default for all this support that I already gave them, and I can't take it back, and they're not paying me. But I'm not going to change my whole business because I'm scared that will happen again. So really thinking about that, because if we can't keep our emotions in check, like, it's just not a way to grow and sustain your business. Like, you can have someone break a contract or default on your payment, but you keep changing your whole business so it never happens again. Or you're scared someone's going to say something mean on the internet, so you don't say what you really think, or you just don't show up on the internet. Like, our emotions are very real, and we've got to feel our feelings, and we have to process them and give them the attention they need. And we don't need to base our entire business on feeling uncomfortable or feeling scared. Like, we really get to step up, and like, that's why my clients hire me, is because of like keeping emotions in check, because our emotions feel so real. They are very powerful. Our thoughts are so powerful. Like, we believe things for years that aren't necessarily true, or they came from something in our childhood that like is a story that we use to protect ourselves, and it's just not accurate anymore. And so like, that's why my clients pay me, is because I'm here to help them like really figure out like what's real. Like, yes, let's feel your feelings and give yourself what you need. And that's no reason to like burn your business down and try to start an entirely new one because you feel like you need another degree, and that would really like help you feel good if you studied really hard and got a degree. So I know that's a very specific example, but it was one I was just talking to a client about, and it feels relevant. So I see this with people all the time, and it's why people lose momentum, is because they're changing so many things in their business to avoid a feeling or to avoid a fear. And if we can just stay in it for the long run and process our feelings and process our fears and really have an outlet for that, but keep our business running like normal, then we are just able to like sustain and grow over years and years and really create that pop moment because we're not constantly like changing everything. Okay, enough on that one, but that one was, really like keeping your emotions in check. And I just love the quote about we suffer more often in imagination than in reality, because it's like we build stuff up so much in our heads, like keep emotions in check. So this morning I did an Instagram live with Sophie Hickey. First live I've ever done, first live she's ever done. The worst thing that could possibly happen happened. Like Instagram just stopped working. Like it froze. We got back on, we finished it up, but like that whole first chunk of the Instagram live is gone. It is nowhere to be found. So there's like 10-minute snip on my profile because that's all that Instagram did. And it's like, okay, cool. One of the worst things that could happen happened, and we lived. And I'm not going to like change my business. I'm not going to not do collabs again. I'm not going to never show up on Instagram live again. Like, I can handle it. I can work through this. I can feel my feelings of frustration and like, oh, like I can't believe that happened. And just see like maybe that's exactly how it was supposed to happen. Like maybe somebody saw the last 10 minutes. They wish they could have gotten the rest of it. So they contact Sophie to have a podcast manager. Like, I don't know. I just feel like, okay, that all happened and I can live. And like someone who is running their business from emotions would be like, that was super uncomfortable, and look, it turned out exactly as terrible as I was afraid of, and so I'm never going to do that again. And it's like, that's not how I think about it at all, and that's how I would support my clients, is to be like, yeah, that sucked, it did happen, but like we can move through that, and I'm not going to change my visibility strategy. I'm not going to change reaching out to people and doing collabs because of that. So that's just a fun example that just literally happened. Go to my Instagram and check it out, because it's kind of like, it's just kind of funny. It's basically how my day's going. So number 6 is be humble and be willing to learn. So humility is the like key to growing in business, because nothing stays the same. We talked about that earlier. Like nothing stays the same. So we, like successful entrepreneurs, the people who make multi-5-figure months, who are multi-6 and 7-figure businesses, like they're always learning, whether it's feedback from clients or feedback from like what the platforms are prioritizing, or like from, studying the market or listening to team members. Like we're, as business owners, we have to be willing to learn and to try new things, and to see that like maybe something that happened or was working like pre-COVID or during COVID, like it just isn't working anymore. Like my conversation with Sophie, she was talking about podcasts that were audio only, and just about how huge video is. And so if you're only doing your podcast the old way that used to work with audio, you're just missing out on such amazing growth and people and listeners, because we're prioritizing audio now. People want to see your face. They want to like see your expressions and get to know you and get to build that relationship in that way. And so that's something, if you weren't willing to like be humble and be like, okay, this worked for a long time this way, but now it's not, so I'm going to switch and try something new, even though it's uncomfortable, even though I might not get it right the first few times. Like that is like such a key part of being an entrepreneur and a business owner, is really being willing to like be new at stuff. Like you can be a multi-6 or multi-7-figure business owner and still be new at something. I'll use myself as an example. Like I'm a multi-6-figure business owner, and I just only this year started prioritizing reels. So you can go look at my reels, and like some of them I think I have like 78 views, and some of them I have 20,000 views. So that's something I'm very willing. Like I'm a multi-6-figure business owner. My clients 6x, 7x, 10x their results, but I'm willing to be humble and like try something new with reels. And even see, like the other day I was looking at one and I was like, oh, it only has like 78 views, that flopped. But I looked at the insights and I had 2 new followers, and 2 people went to my website, who then I think signed up for my training. So it's like, oh yeah, okay, like even though that seemed like a flop, and that's where like I love the data and numbers in business, to be able to see like it wasn't a flop. And like I don't care if anybody's like, oh, she only had 78 views. It's like, well, I had 2 follows and people signed up for my stuff. So like it's working, because that's literally the point. So all that to say, like be willing to learn. There's also something I'm getting a training on now. I'm not ready to share it yet, but I'll share that in the future. And that is very new to me. It's so new. I'm like, oh, I need help. It's very much like this learner mentality, and being willing to like try something new and be a student and be so out of your comfort zone and like what you're normally good at. Like it's just something we have to do as entrepreneurs. So yeah, like again with the reels, like some of them barely get any views and some of them has just really popped. And so letting myself play with those and see that like one actually isn't better than the other, because the one that had 20,000 views, it got me no new followers, it got me no signups for anything. So like let myself be like a newbie and play with that. And that's kind of like what I'm thinking about with some of my clients. I have a few who totally popped during COVID, like totally popped. And we know the online space was just like had a big pop moment with the like whole COVID lockdown thing. And since then, like sales have dwindled, leads have dwindled. And so we're really having to look at things through a different way and being willing to kind of like relearn what works for their business. I have another client who lost their biggest client. So their biggest client made up between 600,000 and 1.6 million in a year. So that's a lot. Like if you had one client who gave you 600,000 to 1.6 million a year, that's your biggest client. You lose them, you've got to replace them. Like there's just no other answer. So that's what we've been doing like this past year, and they have done such a great job. I always give this client so much credit because they didn't whine, they didn't scream and shout and have a fit. They were just like, okay, so this client made some changes and aren't working with us anymore. And it had nothing to do with my client or their work. It was literally like changes in the industry. This is actually a really big, well-known national brand, but they were making changes with how they did things. So no longer working with my client anymore. And that's a ton of cash, 600 to 1.6 cash a year that is gone from this one client. And so just giving them so much credit that they have been willing to learn to actually create a sales process, because they kind of didn't have one before that, and just be willing to try things and put themselves out there and like do what needs to be done to replace this cash, because they have replaced it. Like they have blown it out of the water, and because of the type of services they do, this is just a really busy year for them. But it's just so impressive to see them really take that like humble, they've been in business longer than I have. They've been in business longer than 9 years. So they just are willing to do what it takes to like replace that client, replace that revenue. And it's just so impressive to see. And it comes from this being humble and being willing to learn, and not being like, well, this worked in the past, so it needs to work now. It's like, okay, cool. Things changed. How do we handle this? So I'm going to stop on that one, but let me know if y'all have questions. And the last one is, this feels very relevant to end on, practice patience and long-term thinking. Like this is the game with business. Like I don't know any business owners, or the business owners I work with aren't the people who are like, yeah, I just want to make a quick buck as fast as I can in a year and then be done. No, the business owners and clients I work with are people who want to make a difference. They want to create sustainable long-term results. They want businesses that they're in for like 10, 20 years. Like I've had my business for 9 years and I feel like I'm just getting started. Like, let's do this. We still got many more years to come. And so really looking at your business through that lens, one of the Stoics, Epictetus, I know, I should have looked up how to say their names. He said, no great thing is created suddenly. And I just see this all the time. Like building a successful business that thrives is not a quick process. And that's not what we're used to. We're used to turning on a light switch and having a light come on. We're used to ordering an Amazon package and have it show up at our door. We're used to Uber foods and Uber drives and everything just literally being like on demand. We can order any movie we want. We can download any song we want. Like it's not like when we have to used to like listen to the radio and hope that our song came on. It was like, no, we can just get literally any song. Alexa, play this song for me. Like business is not like that. And that is so hard when we're used to that like action result happening in our like regular lives all the time. And business is like action, 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 result. And so just seeing that like a business that is sustainable, that creates results in 5-figure months on repeat, is something that's just built over time. Like I literally use the example of a machine with my clients. Like we are building a machine that like has all these different pieces that need to work really well and come together and work well. And that just takes time. Like that is just something that like you have to have all these little pieces in place, and it's like each piece needs to be working well, and then you put them all together to like create your results on repeat. Like that is just something that so many people I feel like forget about. Like most of my clients have been with me for 2 to 3 years. So 57% of my current roster has been with me for 2 to 3 years. And it's not because like, it's because things are a process. Like things are always changing. It's not like, okay, we created your offer. Okay, now you attract leads. Okay, now you convert the leads. We're done. Like it's not just this like copy paste formula from somebody else that you slap on your business. Like this is very much a process, and creating a business that like makes you really good money on repeat does take time. It does take being intentional. It does take effort. And so many people don't want to hear that. They just see someone online's business who blew up and made 1.5 million in a year, and they have 3 kids, and it's like, oh, well, if she could do it, I can. It's like, well, she's probably the outlier, and we don't have all the context. Like maybe she had multiple businesses before that. Maybe she already had this huge client roster from another thing that she did. Like we just don't have the data and insights. And honestly, it's like, it's none of my business how somebody did their business or why they popped or why they had that pop moment. Like I'm my own business and I'm on my own timeline. And so just seeing that like what I need for my life and my 3 kids and how often I work and the client load I can take on, like that just looks so different. And so seeing that like I can't compare myself to someone else and like not even expect, like on no planet there's no job where you're like, yes, you make 1.5 million in 1 year. Like I mean, I guess there are some jobs out there, like you could be a basketball player or something, but like the online space just is really kind of a mind fuck because we see everybody else's results and we see everybody talking about how fast they made money and how quick they got results. And it's like really skews like what reality is and what it takes to actually build a long-term sustainable business. Again, I've been supporting clients behind the scenes for 9 years. I have seen people come and go, and like it takes more than just like what you see in a 5-second reel to build a successful and sustainable business. So so one example is just me building my business with 1 to 3 kids at home. Like I've been here 9 years because I just was willing to work nap times and night times. And then when the kids went to school, I started, pivoting to higher ticket and working more. Like that was what my business needed. And like, I just had to like be on my own timeline and not like, I had to practice patience. Like if I was like, I'm working with 1 to 3 kids at home, but I also want to be like a multi-7-figure business owner this year, like I'm just going to make myself so wrong. So I just worked when I could and made myself so right. I have many clients who have other businesses, they have jobs, like they have these things to really help them take the pressure off their business and support them while they are building their business. And so they can't devote 100% of their time and attention to this one business all the time. So we're really looking at like building it intentionally and like letting it fit in with their other business, with their job, with their family, and seeing that like there's no timeline, there's no comparison. It's really you and what works for you. Let's see, I have another client who she has a lot of health stuff going on, so she couldn't focus on her business 100%, and she keeps giving herself a hard time. And we keep talking about like the quote, how you build it is how you'll experience it. So we're focused on really letting her take time for her health and taking the time she needs, and also seeing the business gets to live with that, and create those structures now so that she can take care of herself and can take care of her health, and she can have this business too, but it's just going to look different than probably anyone else out there. So we don't want her building a multi-6-figure business because she's hustling and overworking and ignoring her health needs and ignoring family. Like we want to create all of this together because no one builds a multi-6 or 7-figure business that way and then is like easily able to step back and take time for themselves. So we have to build the business. And basically I'm saying make your own timeline for what success looks like for you so you can give yourself what you need, so you can give your family what you need, so you can give your other business or your job what it needs. Like, there is no timeline except like what you put on it, and just see that like the win is letting yourself just like stay in it for the long term and do what is sustainable so that you don't get burned out. Okay. We're getting a little long, so I'm going to wrap this up. But before I do, don't forget to sign up for the masterclass. I'm going to put the link below. Again, I am saving you tens of thousands of dollars with this masterclass. So if you don't sign up, you're kind of crazy. I say that with all the love in the world, but that's where I'm at today. Sign up. It'll be next week, and you'll get access to this that no one else has, because this is exclusive. It is a limited time offer. It will be going away. So make sure you save your seat so you can learn the secrets that really helped me go from selling a $35 an hour bookkeeping service. My first client talked me down from $45 to $35. So I know what I'm talking about. I have pivoted to a $9K 6-month offer. I sell that out. We are full. We tend to stay full. Again, 57% of my clients have been with me for 2 to 3 years. So I know my shit. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm handing it all to you and letting you learn all of this for free, because I do not want to hide it behind a paywall. So get signed up. But we'll just quickly go through. These are the traits that you need to have if you want to double your rates and book out for 5-figure months. Focus on what you can control. Embrace adversity and challenges. Detach from the outcomes. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Keep your emotions in check. Be humble and willing to learn, and practice patience and long-term thinking. So that is it for today. Let me know if you have questions on the replay, need anything. I'm always here, and I will see y'all next week for the masterclass. So until then, see you later.